I think what's really happening here is we've got maybe a very talented marketing organization out there who's convincing people that this is a big problem that they need to be very worried about.
The plot thickens for sure. The OWASP top 10 list is out, and we thought we'll give you our reactions to this list. For those of you all not familiar, the OWASP top 10 is a regularly updated list that ranks the most critical security risks to web apps. And this is based on industry data and expert consensus. The last list was in 2021, so all of us were super excited for the latest list, mainly because of the generational shift that is AI. To record reactions to the list, I brought Jake, CEO of AuthZ. Jake, why is this year's list so eagerly awaited?
I think the way that we're developing applications and the way that we're thinking about the creation of software is really fundamentally changing with the use of AI and Gen AI. We've got things like AI coding agents that are helping us write better software or sometimes worse software. So I think this is important, or this is an important release because we want to see how these shifts, these seismic shifts in the way we're creating applications is changing the way that the OWASP organization at least thinks about application security.
Also, folks, a few months ago, Jake and myself recorded a predictions video on what we thought the top 5 of the OWASP list would look like. Stay tuned till the end where we see how we have actually done in our predictions. So without further ado, let's look at the list with starting at number 7, which is authentication failures. Now, this is a category that was earlier called identity and authentication failures. This was in the early 2010s, Jake. This was always in the top 3, but we have seen it sort of drop out of, the top 5 and get closer to like number 10.
Yeah, I think there's a sort of pervasive opinion that identity is maybe a solved problem. We have a lot of really great vendors, really great open source solutions out there to help us do identity the right way. So there was a meme a while back, don't roll your own authentication. And we're seeing the results of that, right? We're seeing that fewer and fewer applications are rolling their own authentication, and therefore fewer of them are subject to these exploits.
As the screenshot from the OWASP page says, there is a lot of standardized frameworks in our industry, which is seeing this particular category really stabilize in terms of a risk to a web app. So moving on to number 6, and that is insecure design. This actually slid 2 spots from number 4 to number 6 because other categories leapfrogged it.
My original assumption would be that this would go up based on the fact that a lot of people are now writing and publishing applications that don't really have a security mindset and don't come from a security background. I think maybe this is going down because OWASP is sticking to the AI, non-AI paradigm when they're considering application security. And it's probable that a lot of these Gen AI applications haven't made their way into production yet, where they're actually getting analyzed and assessed by the framework.
To set context, OWASP also has a top 10 LLM list, which they released the first version of in November 2024. So there could be like a sort of division in these two lists. And as Jake said, we're going to see a lot more AI generated code in production in the next few years. Depending on that, insecure design may move up the list. So going on to number 5, it's actually injection. Now this used to top the list way back in the day, and it's fallen 2 spots from number 3 to number 5 in the ranking.
So when we think about injection, traditionally we're thinking about SQL injection. Maybe the most famous example was like the Bobby Tables XKCD comic, where someone was like, they named their kid Drop Table Students. So, I mean, as long as we're excluding prompt injection or there aren't enough applications in production yet that actually have LLM in the loop, then I could definitely see why this one has moved down.
So moving on to number 4 in the list, which is cryptographic failures. And this again moved down 2 positions from number 2 in the previous list to number 4. In terms of total occurrences, it's actually like the second highest, but it's number 4 on the list.
Similar to like don't build your own authentication, don't roll your own auth, is don't roll your own crypto. Crypto is actually the underpinnings of auth even to begin with. So I think we're seeing that meme come home to actually have an impact and prevent a lot of these exploits.
Number 3 was something interesting because it was in a way a new category, which was software supply chain failures. Now this in the previous list was called using components with known vulnerabilities.
This one's really interesting to me because if we just look at the numbers, 5 CWEs, That's like the lowest in the whole list. 215,000 occurrences, similarly, like lowest in the whole list. And if you read the embedding text, they talk about like the data doesn't necessarily support this being so high on the list. But when they actually polled the people that are participating with their survey, they frequently ranked it very close to the top, if not their top issue. And I think what's really happening here is we've got maybe a very talented marketing organization out there who's convincing people that this is a big problem, that they need to be very worried about, but it's just not supported by the data. But based on the fact that it's top of mind for so many people, they just had to rank it as high as they did. And I think it's also interesting to take a look at the name change, right? Like software supply chain, that's a category that people are trying to make happen in order to go and own that category. So I think it's interesting to see how like the vendors and the name and the survey are all sort of lifting this thing up higher than maybe it should be.
Yeah, the plot thickens for sure about this particular entry in the list. But moving on to number 2 in the list, which is security misconfiguration. And this actually jumped from number 5 in the previous edition. Again, not the highest number of CWEs and total occurrences compared to some of the other. I think it has one of the higher average weighted exploits in terms of a number, where we know that if the number is higher, that means it's worse in terms of like a security bug. So maybe that played into the category a little bit, but who knows?
Yeah, I could definitely say that in the past we've seen things like S3 buckets with public access policies. And you build these very secure, very Fort Knox style applications in front of these S3 buckets, but then the bucket itself is public. And so, you've actually lost all of your private data, regardless of how sophisticated the app is. So I can see why the weighted exploit would be as high as it is.
Mm-hmm. And going on to number 1 in the list, which is something we all were looking forward to seeing, like what will top the list this year. And of course it is, drumroll please, broken access control, which was also number 1 in the previous list in 2021. A few of the categories in this list, it's 100% of the applications tested were found to have some form of broken access control, which is not good for us as an industry in general, I think. Also, Jake, highest total occurrences among all of the categories in the list so far.
Yeah, nearly, over 1.8 million occurrences. As a vendor of access control, yes, I agree. This is a huge problem, right? Like we have a whole company to solve this thing. But in a way, I also see it as an indictment, right? Like we're helping people fix access control. It's clear to me that we're not helping enough people yet, right? Because we'd want to see this number go way down. But yeah, 40 CWEs mapped, 1.8 million plus occurrences. It's obvious to me that this is a huge problem for the companies that do participate in the OWASP methodology.
Now, a few months ago, Jake and myself did a OWASP top 10 list predictions video where we gazed into the crystal ball and predicted what the top 5 at least would look like. Jake, I'm happy to say we got a couple right, but we didn't get all of them right. Let's just say it that way. So we said software and data integrity failures would be number 5, but it actually stayed at number 8, which was its original spot. We actually thought vulnerable and outdated components would jump from 6 to 4. It jumped from 6 to 3. So Jake, I'm going to take that as a win for us.
Yeah, chalk it up.
Unfortunately, we didn't get the next couple right. Insecure design actually dropped from 4 to 6. We thought it would go from 4 to 3. And we thought injection would go from 3 to 2, but it dropped to 3 to 5. Again, I think both comes down to whether the AI list is separate or not.
Yeah, and I think in the video, we even caveated that by saying that, like, if they include prompt injection, we expect this to go way up. But if they don't, then who knows? And I think we've seen that it went down instead.
Yep, absolutely. I am glad to announce that we got the number 1 correct. We both said it would be broken access control, which has stayed at number 1.
Yeah, how long before we start, not celebrating our success in that we're addressing such an amazing problem, but starting to, focus on the fact that we haven't solved it yet, right? Like we need to be solving access control for more people so that we can see this go down at the list.
Absolutely. And I hope when we do the next video in 2029, broken access control isn't one, and hopefully we've solved it by then. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content on the world of authorization. See you in the next one.